Hello and welcome to our video today. We're going to be talking about the latest changes of iOS 7 and how Siri has switched from Google to Bing. I'm Chad Hill and I have Adam Setzer with me.
Yeah, good afternoon, Chad. Sort of an epic battle going on in the mobile platform space between Google and Apple. I feel a little bit like we've seen this movie before between Microsoft and Apple back in the 90s, but some new twists and much more tied into the internet, of course, and internet marketing. A few stats just to open up here. Android actually is leading iPhone in the smartphone market in the US with 28% over 25 for iPhone, which is really quite surprising given how dominant Apple has been in this market. Now I know when you move into the tablet form factor, the stats shift quite a bit in favor of Apple. And I also know that a lot of applications are still very much being developed for iOS first and Android second. But there are some big shifts here. I think probably what's more interesting, though, to our viewers is, well, how is this going to impact internet marketing? And that's where your news about Siri and search engines comes in today, right?
Exactly. And I want to make sure that as we start to talk about this that we first point out that Google still will be the default search engine in Safari. So if on your iPhone you open up Safari, the browser, and you just go to search, Google is still the default there. What's happened though is that when you hold down that home button and Siri comes on, when you ask to search results on the web, that's now going to default over to Bing instead of Google. So I think really what this is this is a continual trend, as you said, Adam. There is an epic conflict or competition going on here, and what Apple doesn't want to happen is to have Google with Android and be the dominant player of all the applications on iOS. So I think they're slowly trying to wean themselves off Google, and in some cases there's been some misses, like with Apple Maps. We'll see how Bing does.
Right, and it seems like Google is really consolidating here because you've got Apple, the maker of the iPhone, but then you've got these other players like Microsoft with their Bing product, which is a search engine, and with Yahoo, which is in it for search and ad revenue. Google's really got their hands in a lot of pies here because they are now, with their purchase of Motorola, a manufacturer of the hardware, with their backing of the Android open source platform, the software makers, and of course with their very dominant search engine. So it is kind of interesting to see this all unfold. It seems like, though, they're a pretty tough beast to slay. This reminds me a bit of how Yahoo is trying to jockey for position with different deals to try to get their search engine business market share to grow. Seems like Bing is trying to do it here. How successful will these really be, or are we going to see Google remain on top?
It's tough to say. I mean, I've read some reports recently that talk about how actually on the iPhone some of the most frequently used apps are actually Google apps. So they are, as you said, are very entrenched, as you said, not only as a platform provider with Android, as a manufacturer with Motorola, but also as an application provider on the iPhone. So it's a pretty dominant position. But let's talk for a minute just about what this means, though, if you do want to own, or at least make sure your results are present on the iPhone. Bing is different. I mean, a lot of times people will talk about search, and it's sort of search is synonymous with Google. So we talk about Bing a little bit, but their market share isn't very big. This is actually going to be a big boost, I think, for Bing, because now there's going to be more and more people who are going to be taking Bing seriously because they know they want that coveted position with the iPhone. I think that, inside those stats of usage, Adam, that there still is the iPhone usage skews towards, I think, a more affluent customer base. So there's definitely, it's a coveted spot to have, and this is going to open up. This is going to make Bing more a part of people's discussions with SEO. So I think it's a pretty big move.
And I think also don't forget, Google rolled out a new product called Google Now, just sort of their answer to Siri. It doesn't have nearly the sex appeal, I don't think. As an Android user and watching Chad as an iPhone user, you seem like you're having a lot more fun talking to Siri than I do talking to Google Now. I think, to put it in perspective, Siri sort of has personality. It's been well marketed. It's got a lot of usability. Google, very similar to their graphical interface. It's more like you're talking to a robot and it gives you some output. But that they're going to continue to push that to try to push back against this strategy. I, for one, hope that this does give Bing a big bump because I think competition is healthy. But we'll have to stay tuned. We'd like to hear what you think. Please put in some comments and share your thoughts.